I'm about to lose my mind. What even is this in a game where Montreal has a chance to shoot itself right near the top of the Atlantic Division? Yes, they get a goal from Oliver Kapanen, which is great, but the defensive and goaltending performances continue to prove to be woes for this team. And as head coach Marty St. Louis is under more fire than ever, there are fans calling for major changes to be made, not only in net, with the defensive scheme, maybe some moves, but even some lineup decisions from tonight were absolutely baffling as Ivan Demidov was pulled off of the PP1, and there is a lot we gotta get into, but seriously, what in the fuck? Sorry about that. Let's calm down a little bit, okay? Let's just get into what happened in this game. So, look, I think a lot of us know, I don't even want to look at the score. That's not a part of what this is tonight. We're not looking at the number. We're just looking at the stats because, we're talking about decisions and so much more, okay? So, look, the goaltending is a main part of what we gotta talk about tonight. Montreal's goaltending woes have been well documented ever since the first month of the season came to an end. Jakub Dobeš was 6-0-0 to start the season. It was incredible. Monty wasn't so great, but it's fine. We saw what he's done in the past. We saw what he did for Team Canada at the World Hockey Championship recently, but tonight, look at those numbers. Aren't they beautiful? Neither goaltender had above an 800 save percentage, and I just showed you two of the Tampa goals right here. These were not, that was just a brutal defensive effort from Jayden Struble. He got walked. It's Braden Point. Whatever. He has not been off to a great start. Letting up a goal right out of the penalty box after Noah Dobson makes a bad misplay. It's just, the goaltending, you can blame so much on the goaltending, but you got to blame a good amount on the defensive system as well. And, tonight, Montreal, the way we played, if you take a look here, this is from Natural Stat Trick, the expected goals for percentage in the third, pathetic. Now, this was taken only partway through the third. I didn't even want to wait till the end of the game to take these numbers, but I cared more about the first two periods. Second period, Montreal actually dominated the expected goals for percentage at 79%. The thing at Tampa, what drives me nuts, and probably is driving you nuts too, is we actually didn't play as bad as this game says we did, right? And I haven't even looked at the post-game media availability. I was let me just get this done. We're talking about this now. High danger chances were 14-10. That might have changed by the time the end of the game came around. I don't even care. But, we did not objectively play that bad. But it's the breakdowns. I saw a tweet, and I don't remember who tweeted it out, but it was we are so consistent with the bad things. That's the problem with this team. Again, you look at these breakdowns, just a one-on-one defensive breakdown here. This one here was Dobson missing an easy pass at the blue line, leading to a breakaway goal. Monty let in another point shot at the end of the game. So much of this has been said, and it's causing Habs fans to... Let's get to this. Talk about calling up Jacob Fowler, and I tweeted about this. And I know how easy it is to just say, let's call up Jacob Fowler. But you look at the defense and you look at the mistakes that Montreal has been making lately, you're risking hurting his development, because I am not that confident that him out there behind this current Habs defense is going to do anything. I don't think he's going to be better than Dobeš or Monty. And if we look back to early this season, I think we can all reminisce on a Habs team that played some really solid defense. That hybrid defensive system, it was clicking. We were causing trouble for other teams in the neutral zone, in our own defensive zone. We were winning more puck battles. I understand we're injured, right? That is a huge part. To not have Alex Newhook, not have Kaiden Guhle is a huge thing on the D-core. Not to have a goal-scoring threat in Patrick Laine. Not to have Kirby Dach, though he has been skating a bit. He should be back very soon. They had a weird private thing at Brassard where the media wasn't allowed to go. All that aside, regardless of the fact we're missing 4 core players, which I do think is a bit understated when we're looking at this team, that electricity is gone. That spark. I felt the Habs earlier this year could come back in any situation. But recently that confidence has faded. I know I'm just reading my own, but this is my thoughts. This is what was, follow us on Twitter, by the way. This is what was coming out of my head, right? This Montreal Canadiens team does not feel like the same team. And look, there are benefits, right? Oliver Kapanen getting a goal, now tying him with Beck at Seneca, who, by the way, has had a great season in Anaheim. I just picked him up in fantasy hockey. I know you don't care about that. I don't know why I said that. Habs Digest Fantasy League's going great. I'll shut up now. Look, Kapanen 9 goals, tied him for the rookie lead, which is incredible, and he's just one of those guys that gets it done. High danger areas, tips, whatever. He gets it done. We saw that at the World Hockey Championship when he was leading the tournament in goals for a while. I still don't remember if he finished with the lead. I don't think he did, but he was leading for a while. Again, Demidov and Suzuki a point tonight, but that leads to another thing. The power play tonight. My voice is going. Ivan Demidov creates results on the power play. Demigod for a reason, right? We all know how good this guy is on the power play, how magical he is with the puck. And we're going to watch these Tampa goals again because we're a bit masochistic here on this channel, and I just want to watch the Habs suffer so we can learn from these mistakes. But this play here from Ivan Demidov, great pass to Suzuki. Somehow it didn't go in, and Kaiden with the great hand-eye taps it in. So this has been working great. Ivan Demidov, though, why was he taken off the PP1? Because tonight, if you didn't watch, or if you turned it off early and you didn't see the Habs power play, whatever, Zach Bolduc was back on the PP1 tonight. And it was a curious decision. At first, they were running Zach Bolduc on the PP1, and then the PP2 had Suzuki and Caufield, which was weird. Like, it was like, okay, Suzuki and Caufield are out in the PP2 alongside Kapanen, Dobson, and Demidov. And I was like, all right, that's interesting. We tried that. Didn't really work. Second power play, we tried it again with Bolduc on the PP1. Didn't work. The second we go out there and Marty's like, you know what? Let's start the second unit of the power play. And Caufield came off. I think it was Gallagher back on that second power play at that point. But regardless, Demidov was out there with Kapanen and Suzuki. That's how we get that goal. When he's out there, he creates results. Why was this change made? Zach Bolduc, who was put in the doghouse recently, who was taken off the first line for Slafkovsky to go back, bumped down to the fourth line, ripped off the PP1. Yeah, he had a great game last game, but he was right back out there on the PP1. And it's still Ivan Demidov who is creating the power play opportunities. So again, it's causing people to question these lines, right? These changes that Marty is making. Are they really the right decisions? And I'm not about to dive into whether or not I think Marty is really handling the team the best, but right now, like, it is the young guys, and it's not the veterans stepping up. I like Maxime Lapierre's tweet. Au moins, les jeunes se présentent toujours. Il y a des erreurs, et c'est normal, mais ils essayent. Les vétérans sont où, par exemple? Les plus vieux. Ben, c'est un bon point, ça. I completely agree with Maxime Lapierre. It's like, Matheson. I actually said earlier, I think Matheson is playing like the better defenseman than Dobson recently. Matheson, the veteran guy. But the Habs are lacking a lot of veteran presence, right? Alex Carrier plays like a veteran, but he's not. He's still like pretty young, right? Suzuki's the captain. Maybe he could have a bit more edge. I don't know. Anderson did fight Scott Sabrin later in this game, and he lost it, which is not usual for Anderson, but like, I don't know, there were some scraps, like, but the veterans are not leading by example, and I wanted to show one thing here. Oh, do I have it? Yes, I have this. Now, again, this is before the end of the game. Take a look at that. So I have this sorted by expected goals for percentage, and that is basically just their advanced analytics, right? What percentage of the goals is your team expected to score when this line is on the ice versus the other team? So if you took the other team minus this line, it would equal 100%, right? For example. So taking a look at this, Anderson, Evans, and Gallagher. It might have changed by the end of the game. I'm sure it stayed under 10%. At the time I took this screenshot with just like a couple minutes left, 8.66% expected goals for percentage. That is the third from the right. You can see it like just right there. 8.66. That means that when Anderson, Evans, Gallagher, when that line was on the ice, Tampa Bay had over 91% of the expected goals for. Now, the actual expected goals for was a bit different, but essentially that just means they got utterly, completely obliterated in terms of chances when they were on the ice. And that is the veteran line, the line that was stable from last year, the line that was supposed to be, again, a stabilizing defensive force this year. Evans is still great on the PK. Anderson has turned his game around a bit. Gallagher, he's getting older, and it's showing. These guys, I think, combined over their last, 6 or 7 games, have 2 points or something like that. It's insanity. They are just not playing well, and their counterparts on Tampa of Yanni Gordzeg, Muskergensons, and Pontus Holmberg, they had a 96% expected goals for percentage when they were out there. When they were on the ice, they dominated Tampa's third line. When our third line was out on the ice, they were horrendous. Now, the silver lining here is that the Davidson-Veleno-Bolduc line, in the last couple of games, they've actually showed up very well in the expected goals for percentage. They are controlling a lot of the play. I like it. And Slav Suzuki Caufield is working as well. Xhekaj and Demidov didn't have as good of a night tonight, but they're always a bit dynamic. They're always creating chances. But speaking of chances, I mean, just look at this, right? We scored 1 goal that was on the power play. Tampa scored 5 goals. Look where 2 of them came from. Basically from the goal line. Actually, I think their 6th one was also 5v5. Maybe I took this before that last brutal goal from Radish that was just lobbed in from the point that Monty let in. Tampa's chances in front of the net, as you can see, that bright blue circle, I should say, right in front of the Habs goal. That's where all their chances came from. At 5v5, The Habs just created nothing. You don't even see our red. It's just yellow everywhere. We barely created anything. But the concentration of shots from the point from Montreal is ridiculous when you compare to Tampa's chances in tight. And again, looking at the whole game, yeah, we created some chances, not that much high danger, right? Scoring chances, actually, Montreal edged out Tampa. But Tampa got more high danger chances, and they just controlled the play more. So there's a lot to look at here. There's a million things we could look at. Actually, here's the thing I was going to show. Yeah, that Gord Gergenson's Holmberg, 96.42%. So anyway, like I said, it's easy to think you want to bring up Jacob Fowler. I think this is a bad decision. 919 save percentage, 2.09 GAA. I will say it is very fair to question some of the lines, some of the decisions that Marty has made recently. I've been a staunch Marty defender, and I still will be. And I think there's still a lot to be shown. Like, we don't know what this team looks like. I mean, we know what it looks like at full strength. When this team has been at full strength, let me just say this to end off this video. When this team has been at full strength, we were one of the best teams in the NHL. We had 4 key injuries. Guhle's a massive one, right? Newhook was playing so well. Kirby is a stabilizing force at the very least, and Laine's a power play threat even if he hasn't been playing well. Losing those 4 guys, ever since that, Montreal has struggled a bit. And yet we're still within shooting distance of the top of the Atlantic Division. So there is a silver lining in all of this, right? I don't want to be all negative Nancy, but it's frustrating to watch the way this team plays and to get blown out as much as they do. But I think there's a real chance that Montreal turns this around. And once we start to get these guys back individually, we'll start to see that with the team. Maybe trades need to come. But I think really the downfall, if you can call it that, of this team, the point at which we started getting blown out in these crazy games came after these injuries started. So that gives me some hope. And I hope you guys still have some hope too. Yes, this was a more ranty video, but I still have hope for the Habs. And look, if you do too, leave a like on the video. Let's leave some like. Let's stay positive. I know most of you don't make it to the end of this video. Let me know if you made it all the way to the end and you endured my rant for this whole time. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. I feel calm now. I got it all out of my system. I hope you did too. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you all in the next one.